All right. First up, we have Masters of the Universe Revelations. I, I just want to start with a very positive note. This trailer is amazing. It was the animation looks really good. It doesn't look lazy like Invincible. It doesn't look kind of disjointed like Castlevania, even though it's the same studio, Powerhouse, or right? Yeah, Powerhouse Animation.
Yeah.
Like, did you watch Castlevania?
I watched the first season. I am part of the I watched the first season and part of the second. So I don't know if the animation has changed or not. I do want to go back because I was actually fascinated.
Yeah,
I actually liked the story, but other stuff came out and it just got put on the back burner for me. But now that season 4 is over and done with, I really do want to go back. But yeah, it's one of those with the animations and some of these. It has that almost anime animation, but not.
yeah.
It's a little bit more almost like angular in certain ways. That and there's sometimes there's some wonky movement in the action.
Yeah, I didn't love the animation in Castlevania.
Yeah,
so I just stopped watching.
Yeah, so in this one, and again, I agree wholeheartedly about this trailer. This trailer looks fantastic. The I Need a Hero has been
absolutely
blaring in my head.
I've been whistling it all day.
I've
just been walking around whistling it. Hey, remember when I used to start a show and then just like no matter what, watch it until it wasn't on the air anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like everything. I quit shows. I don't even go 3 episodes anymore. It's like if there's something offending in the first 2 episodes or something that I don't like or just like it doesn't look like the story's going to be interesting, I'm like, I'm done until somebody else tells me this.
You
is
do
good
a Kramer.
And I'll go catch up. But
you pretty much do a Kramer.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Now, but if I do love a show, I mean, I become an evangelist for it and I post about it and tweet about it and talk about it and wear t-shirts about it and it's all that fun stuff. So make you watch it or vice versa. So yeah, all right, so the summary for Masters of the Universe Revelation goes as follows. Masters of the Universe Revelation, developed by Kevin Smith and produced by Powerhouse Animation Studios, is a sequel to the 1983 through 1985 Filmation series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe Revelation is set after the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor and will also tell the tale of Teela, a former captain of the guard of Castle Grayskull, who, after the destruction of Eternia, seeks out the missing sword of power to prevent the end of the universe. Herein lies the drama, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Herein lies the drama. All right. So, real quick, back in May, I want to say May 5th, I'm going to pull up the article so I can give you May 13th. Sorry. Kevin Smith sat down with Entertainment Weekly and did a really in-depth interview where, well, first off, the person, Nick Romano, he didn't write the title of the article, so I'm not going to blame him necessarily. But the title of the article is Masters of the Universe Revelation Unleashes the Power, Powah, with the first look at Kevin Smith's series, and they had a bunch of pictures. All right. At no point did he say Power. He completely enunciated the R to the point. All right, here's the weird shit about this article, though. It starts talking about She-Ra, or She-Ri, if you will. The Netflix version that is much maligned and controversial. And there's even a video with like the She-Ra cast at the top of this article in an interview with Kevin Smith. So
yeah,
why?
I don't know.
So, but I mean, it goes into it. It's talking about, Chris Wood is He-Man, is the voice of He-Man. Chris Wood was Mon-El on Supergirl. He's done a ton of stuff. Was he on Glee? I think he was on Glee. I think everyone on Supergirl was on Glee. But here it says the first quote from Kevin: "Everything I've ever worked on in like 27 years, this is easily the top 5 of my favorites, most satisfying projects." Says Smith, a He-Man superfan who show runs Revelation and executive produces with Mattel Televisions, Frederick Soleil, Adam Burnett, Christopher Keenan, and Rob David. When I die, they'll be like, "He made Clerks, remember? Because that's the most memorable thing I've ever made or ever done." I think this has a running shot and be like, "He made Clerks and that one other cartoon that one time," is what Kevin Smith says. All right. So right here, he's called a super fan. And I think he's trying to act like he is the I don't know. It just comes across like he's like, yeah, Superman. He-Man's the shit. I'm all in on He-Man. I've always been all in on He-Man, right?
Right. And so one thing I told you, he never used the word superfan.
He didn't. You're right.
However, and that was the important part to me. And later on, I think it's in this article or in another article, he says that, you know, he was watching this and he never collected the toys because he was at 14 and his mother was like, "Okay, you're too old to collect toys." But he said at that time he was very much into DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
And He-Man was right up there with it.
Right.
So that tells me why he did not say, "I'm a super fan."
Right.
Saying that, and you know how much he's into DC and Marvel comics his whole life. So if he's saying that, that means he is a super fan, even though he didn't use that term. So I just want to, you know, kind of say, while he didn't say that exactly, he kind of confirmed it by saying Masters of the Universe was up there with DC and Marvel for him.
Right, absolutely. And so you guys are probably wondering, like, why are they talking about Kevin Smith's stand-in of He-Man? And it's because Twitter never forgets. Twitter should change their little bird to an elephant, because Twitter never forgets. All right. From this tweet at 11:37 a.m. on January the 13th, 2010, Kevin Smith tweeted, "I wasn't a He-Man fan, but Gallery 1988 is running an awesome Masters of the Universe art show. Look," with a tag to ihavethepowerart.blogspot.com. And again, like, so this is where it's coming into, and, you know, they're calling him a super fan, and you know, I was actually having an argument with Angel. Like, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, right, before I read the plethora of He-Man fraud exposed, Kevin Smith caught in a lie, not a fan, all about Teela, drama. I 100% now think He-Man is like that trailer, that amazing trailer that we just got to see today.
It's the first episode.
It's the first episode, and that's it. Because there's a picture in one of the articles. It might even be the Entertainment Weekly. Oh no, I don't want to do that. In the Entertainment Weekly article, where it's Teela. Hold on, let me get to it. Yeah, there it is. It's slowly coming up. So it's Teela, it's Evelyn, it's Robot Man, or whatever his name is, and
Orko,
and Angela. Or I'm sorry, Andra. Sorry, Roboto, not Robot Man. See, I wasn't a huge He-Man fan, so I'm not pretending here. But like, the only one who looks like the character from like the first trailer is Evelyn, right? Teela's jacked. There's no more curves to her. She's got like,
you mean Abby,
yeah, right. So here's the other thing. Sarah Michelle Gellar is the voice of Teela. Like, you know, the Clownfish TV people made a great point. There's no way they're making this show and Sarah Michelle Gellar is the voice if Teela's not the main character.
And I'll have to say, I love seeing the voice cast. You have, you know,
it's an amazing voice cast. It's an amazing voice cast.
Liam Cunningham, Henry Rollins, great cast. But
Mark Hamill doing the Joker, doing Skeletor.
And you know, I was a fan of Buffy and Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm not. Again, they do things with voices, but I'm not seeing her, especially this Teela. I'm not seeing her as Teela's voice.
Yeah, I could
know
see her as
that's
like the original incarnation of Teela.
Yeah,
But
that's a little nitpick, and I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things of what we're talking about.
yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think the voice casting is very strong.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I
Lena
do
Headey
think,
is Evelyn.
yeah, that
So
is
here's the interesting thing here. Andra is voiced by Tiffany Smith. If you don't know that name, I'm not surprised. She was like the host of the YouTube show DC Daily. Like a few years ago before it got canceled. It was really good. I mean, she was good at at hosting it. But Kevin Smith was on that show all the time. So, this is the reason she has this character. And then the other fun thing that we were talking about Justice for Gingers before we started recording is Andra was a white, redheaded woman, and now she's a black woman who, they are describing her and Teela as a couple.
which that brings us back to Kevin Smith and his chicanery. Well, I'll say it that way, because again, was this a few weeks ago? Clownfish TV ran with a rumor that they heard about this exact thing.
Yeah, because they said they had an insider leaking things.
Yeah, that He-Man was not the main character, the main protagonist of this story.
Right.
That Teela had a girlfriend, and what did Kevin Smith do? His reply was basically, He-Man is at the forefront. Teela does not have a girlfriend, or there is no girlfriend, or something along those lines. And then we get, and again, we don't know about the girlfriend part,
right? Which, to be honest, doesn't matter. Teela can have a girlfriend, fine. That is the least. I don't like, and again, making Andra black is the least interesting thing about the character.
Yeah, my issue is seeing that synopsis from Netflix, talking about it's up to Teela to do X, Y, and Z.
Oh, yeah.
That's telling me that He-Man is not in the picture like we want him to be.
Yeah, so when he says He-Man is front and center, he's just talking about the first episode. So it's a lie of omission, right? He's just like, He-Man's just, he's not around. He's just a guy. He's there. He's he's pushing up daisies because Skeletor killed him and took the sword. You know what I'm saying? He did this. But I used to love Kevin Smith. And I still love Clerks. I think Clerks is one of the greatest movies ever made. From a strictly narrative point of view, right? It's like Ghostbusters. It's not really about anything in particular, but it's just really good at being about nothing in particular. Mallrats, I feel like it's not just a cult classic, it's a classic. Dogma is hands down his best movie. Hands down.
I love Dogma.
And Alanis Morissette is God in Dogma. Zero issue. I thought that was great because Alanis Morissette is amazing. But it's like, dude, wow. You used to be all about story and storytelling and making the story come first. And here he is, I don't want to say bending a knee or anything like that. But here he is, just kind of I don't know. I don't know why he's I don't understand why this is why this has to be the way it is. And let's be 100% honest. He-Man is niche. All right. If we learned anything from Shiri, when you make the hardcore, very vocal Masters of the Universe fan base upset, they're not going to support you.
No.
And you need that core support. And when you have the people who are like, oh, this is just to sell toys because Shiri was the best show ever. Haley and I watched the first 2 episodes of that. And I was prepared to sit through it with her because, I'm a dad and that's what dads do. Right. Sacrifices must be made. And she was like, Dad, I don't want to watch this. I'm like, oh, thank God. I was like, oh, thank the gods of the colonial fleet. So you don't want to watch this? Great. No, I'm no longer on my list. So say we all. But I mean, like you said, this voice cast is amazing. I mean, Alan Oppenheimer, who was the original voice of Skeletor, who's like 91, is coming back as Mossman. You have Kevin
Yeah.
Conroy, like you said, as Merman, which I think will be
Bear,
interesting.
Bear McCreary is doing the score.
Yeah. So, like on paper, it's like, dude, this is going to be a hit, and so it's coming out in 2 parts. It's split into 2 parts, 2 5-episode parts. So I'm gonna guess part 1 is gonna do pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's looking like this is just gonna be the Teela show, nobody will watch part 2.
Yeah, and again, there were some other quotes in these art because there's the Entertainment Weekly, then there's one from Bounding into Comics, and there was another one. But Ted Biaselli, he's the director of original series at Netflix. Like listening to him talk about this, because he told Kevin Smith, he was like, please don't talk down to it, don't make fun of it,
Right?
don't wink, treat it like Shakespeare, and that's from reading that quote is another one of those things that kind of like almost jazzes me up, because you have this guy, the director of original series at Netflix, saying something like that he really, really has fond memories of this show, and it just gives me such hope. And then I won't say my hopes are dashed. I won't say that, but it's severely hampered, because one of the things I told you when we saw the trailer and you were a little bit down on some of the stuff we heard, I'm like, sort of the optimist. I was like, well, I said, let's hope this is like the rumor of The Witcher, because back when The Witcher came out, there were rumors coming out that said that Henry Cavill's character Geralt of Rivia was going to be kind of a secondary character, and you were going to have Ciri and Yennefer as the main characters of the story. That did not happen. Again, I was hoping that was going to be the case with this, but then you see the synopsis, and because it's in 2 parts, maybe part 1 is like that, and part 2 actually He-Man comes back. I don't know.
I don't know. But like, you look at the original He-Man series, right? Paul Denis from Batman the Animated Series, who from Justice League Unlimited, from Batman Beyond, from Static Shock, from all of these great animated shows of the 90s, wrote a massive chunk of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, especially early on. You had J. Michael Straczynski write some of this stuff. J. Michael Straczynski wrote a ton of She-Ra. I like, when we sat down and like rewatched everything a couple years ago with Haley, like, I kind of like She-Ra. I thought She-Ra was like a little more of a compelling show than the original He-Man was. And I personally like the 2000 He-Man. That's the one that, like, if I could just go back and watch, that's the one I would watch. So the 2000 to 2004. Anyway, it was only 2 seasons, but it was good. It was like that Thundercats season show that got 26 episodes. That was the recap, reboot, whatever. So yeah, now, if you're going to call something like a direct sequel, you have to stay. You unfortunately are giving yourself swim lanes that you have to stay within.
Yes.
Because I've been thinking about this a lot. Who are you to change 40-year-old characters? Who are you, like Brian Michael Bendis, to change 80-year-old characters, 60-year-old characters, 70-year-old characters from the core of what they are? And so, I mean, it's just one of those things when you're thinking about it. How can you be anything but disappointed if they don't strictly adhere to, not just the story, but like the core tenets of the characters from the original?
And that's the thing, and we've talked about this so much because this is continually happening. That's the thing people like us that had history with these characters have issues with. It's the fact that they are ignoring these tenets of these characters and what these characters are about and who these characters are. If you want to create a black character, if you want to create there are plenty of black characters out there.
If you want to race swap a character, at the end of the day, it's not important, right? I mean, really, like there's a few characters where it's important, right? You're not going to make He-Man black. You're not going to make, well, you shouldn't make Superman black. You're not going to make Batman black, or Bruce Wayne Batman at the very least. You're not going to make Miles Morales white. You're not going to make T'Challa white. You're not going to, there's just, you're not going to make Luke Cage white. There's just certain things like that. But when you start looking at these people who are like, and we're going on forever. Like I'm kind of done talking about this, to be honest. When you have existing characters from existing material and you decide, oh well, I'm just gonna willy-nilly change this. Who are you to make that decision?
Yeah, if you want to do that, make your own character.
Yeah, exactly. Just put a new character in. It's a sequel, right? Like this person showed up after the battle. This new character named, Josephine, who, made eyes at Teela. Whatever.
Yeah. And again, like kind of wrapping up with this, like I said, my hopes are not dashed. I love the animation. I love the voice casting. I love pretty much everything Bear McCreary does.
Oh yeah.
So I love I love him being in this. I'm obviously going to give this a go, and I'm hoping that that synopsis there was a little bit misleading, because if you don't have He-Man in it for an episode, maybe 2 episodes at most, because this is only 5 episodes, like the first part. Okay, I can deal with that. But again, this is Masters of the Universe. This show, He-Man is at the center of it. And I don't mean it in the sense of center of the story being they're searching for him. He's front and center as the character himself on screen. And that's what I want. Yeah. And I'm really hoping that, this is all, we're getting, a little bit concerned about nothing, but I just don't think that's the case.
Right.